All right, we're talking about, can someone with bipolar have a healthy relationship with combined fit empowerment? Have you ever wondered, can someone like me actually have a healthy relationship? Not just a relationship where someone tolerates you, not just a relationship where you are constantly apologizing for having bipolar, not just a relationship where you shrink yourself, hide your symptoms, over explain your emotions, or live in fear that one hard day will make someone leave. But a real relationship, a safe relationship, a relationship where you are loved, respected, supported, and still allowed to be, yes, that word, human. If you have bipolar disorder, this question can carry so much weight because for many of us, relationships have not always felt safe. Love has not always felt peaceful. Connection has not always felt steady. And I want to start today by being completely honest with you. Relationships have been one of the hardest parts of my story. I have been in abusive relationships more than one, and one and in a divorce. Another relationship that took many years to fully get out of emotionally. And when I say abusive, I do not mean a relationship where I slowly lost pieces of myself, relationships where I questioned my worth, relationships where I thought maybe if I left harder, tried harder, explained better, stayed calmer, became smaller, or proved myself enough, things would finally change. But you know what? They didn't. And made it even more complicated was living with, of course, bipolar. Because when you already struggle with mood episodes like anxiety, depression, racing thoughts, impulsivity, or emotional intensity, unhealthy relationships can make you question, well, everything. You start wondering, is this really abuse or am I just sensitive? Is this relationship hurting me, or is my bipolar making me see wrong? Am I the problem, or would anyone else love me if I left? This is a heavy place to live. I remember feeling like I had to fight for love. Like love was something I had to earn by being perfect. It was too emotional. I was too emotional. I was too much. I needed reassurance. I was too needy. If I had a bad day, I felt guilty. If I was struggling with my mental health, I felt like I was a burden. And over time, that does something to you. You begin to believe that maybe healthy love is for other people. Maybe peace is for other people. Maybe being chosen in a safe, steady, consistent way is for, well, other people, but not for you. And now, I'm currently single, and I will be honest, being single after abusive relationships is not always easy. Sometimes there is loneliness, sometimes there is grief, sometimes there is that ache of wanting companionship, but also the fear of choosing the wrong partner again. There is that part of me that wants love and the part of me that is learning how to protect my peace. But I can also say this. Being single has taught me something that I desperately needed to learn. A relationship is not healthy just because someone stays. A relationship is not healthy just because there are good moments. A relationship is not healthy just because you love the person. A relationship is one where your nervous system can actually breathe. One where your diagnosis is not used against you. One where accountability exists on both sides. One where love does not require yourself to abandon yourself. And that leads us into today's big question. Can someone with bipolar have a healthy relationship? And let me give you the answer. The answer is yes. Absolutely yes. But I also want to be honest. Healthy relationships with bipolar require awareness, communication, treatment, boundaries, and support, not perfection. Not pretending you don't have bipolar. Not hiding every hard moment. not being symptom-free forever. And by learning how to manage your illness, understand your patterns, communicate your needs, and choose people who are safe enough to walk with you without controlling you, shaming you, or rescuing you. So let's talk about why relationships can feel difficult when you have bipolar. I think this is important. Bipolar affects mood, energy, activity levels, concentration, sleep, and behavior. That means it can affect how we show up in a relationship. During depression, we may isolate, pull away, feel unworthy, stop responding, or believe the people we love would be better off without us. During mania or hypermania, we may be more impulsive, more irritable, more intense, more sexual, more restless, or more likely to make big decisions quickly. During mixed episodes, we may feel depressed and activated at the same time, which can lead to agitation, emotional pain, racing thoughts, and conflict. That does not make us bad partners. It means we have a condition that requires understanding and management. One of the biggest lies people with bipolar can believe is because I have symptoms, I am impossible to love. But that is simply not true. Symptoms are real. They can impact relationships. They need to be taken seriously. But having bipolar does not erase your ability to love, be loved, build trust, grow, apologize, repair, communicate, and create healthy life with someone. A diagnosis is not a relationship death sentence, but denial can be damaging. Untreated symptoms can be damaging. Lack of accountability can be damaging. Staying in unsafe relationships, that can be damaging. So the goal is not to say bipolar does not affect relationships. It can. The goal is to say bipolar can affect relationships, but with the right tools, support, healthy relationships are still possible. So, next question is, Jen, what does that look like? Glad you asked. First, healthy relationships require self-awareness. You have to learn your patterns, not so you can shame yourself, but so you can understand yourself. What happens when you are starting to get depressed? Do you withdraw? Do you stop texting back? Do you assume people are mad at you? Do you become convinced you are unlovable? What happens when you are being hypomanic or manic? Do you talk faster, spend more, flirt more, get irritable, need less sleep, feel invincible, start making big life decisions? What happens when you get into a mixed episode? Do you feel restless, angry, tearful, impulsive, or hopeless all at once? When you know your warning signs, you can communicate sooner. Instead of waiting until everything explodes, you can say, I think I am starting to struggle. I may need extra support, more space, quieter evening, or help sticking to my routine. That kind of awareness, now that is powerful. Second, healthy relationships require communication before the crisis. This is one of the biggest lessons I have learned. The middle of an episode is not always the best time to explain everything for the first time. When emotions are high, sleep is low, and your thoughts are racing, it can be hard to communicate clearly. This is why it helps to have a conversation when you are stable. You might say, when I am depressed, I tend to isolate, but it does not mean I do not love you. Or when I am getting overwhelmed, I may need quiet time, but I also need you not to completely disappear. Or I'll start sleeping less and acting unusually energized. I need you to lovingly encourage me to contact my doctor. Or I want support, but I do not want you to use my diagnosis used to dismiss my feelings. The last one is important because healthy support does not mean someone gets to blame every emotion you have on bipolar. You can have bipolar and still have valid feelings at the same time. You can have bipolar and still be hurt by something hurtful. You can have bipolar and still deserve respect. Your diagnosis should never become a weapon someone uses to avoid accountability. Third, healthy relationships require treatment and support. Love is beautiful, but love is not a replacement for treatment. A partner cannot be your psychiatrist, therapist, crisis plan, emotional regulator, and an entire support system. That is too much pressure for one relationship and is not fair to either person. A healthy relationship works best when you are also taking responsibility for your own care. That may include medication, therapy, sleep, routines, exercise, support groups, mood tracking, crisis planning, faith, journaling, nutrition, or whatever tools help you stay stable. For someone with bipolar, consistency matters. Sleep matters, stress management matters, boundaries matter, and routine matters. And your partner can support those things, but they should not have to carry them alone. This is why support systems are so important. You need people besides a romantic partner, friends, a therapist, a doctor, a faith community, a support group, trusted family, a coach, a mentor, safe people who can help you stay grounded. A relationship is healthier when it is not your only source of oxygen. Fourth, healthy relationships require boundaries. There's that boundary word. This is a huge one, especially if you have been in abusive relationships. So sometimes when you already have bipolar, you may already feel afraid of being too much. So you may tolerate things because you think, well, I have issues too. You may excuse disrespect because you believe your diagnosis makes you lucky to be loved at all. But listen to me clearly. Having bipolar does not mean you should accept abuse. It does not mean you should accept manipulation. It does not mean you should accept yelling, control, cheating, gaslighting, threats, humiliation, or someone constantly making you feel small. You are allowed to have standards. You are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to say, my diagnosis explains some of my struggles, but it does not give you permission to mistreat me. A healthy relationship has room for compassion and accountability on both sides. Not one person being the sick one and the other person being the normal one. Not one person always apologizing where the other person never changes. Both people need to be willing to grow. Fifth, healthy relationships require repair. No relationship is perfect. Bipolar is not. People hurt each other sometimes, right? They misunderstand each other. They react poorly. They say the wrong thing. They get defensive. They get tired. The difference in healthy relationships is that repair happens. Repair sounds like, I am sorry. Repair sounds like, I see how I hurt you. Repair sounds like, I was triggered, but I still need to take responsibility for how I responded. Repair can sound like, can we talk about what happened and how to handle it differently next time? Repair is not shame. Repair is not governing, right? Repair is not begging someone to stay. Repair is two people choosing honesty, humility, and growth. If you have bipolar, repair may include saying, I noticed I was more irritable this week and I am going to reach out for support. And a support partner might say, Thank you for telling me. I want to understand what helps, but I also need us to talk respectfully. That is healthy. Not perfect, but healthy. 6, healthy relationships require safe people. Okay? So this part might be one of the hardest part, because if you have been through unhealthy or abusive relationships, chaos can start to feel familiar. You may confuse intensity with intimacy. You may mistake inconsistency for passion. You may feel drawn to people who make you prove your worth because that dynamic feels known. But healing teaches you that peace may feel unfamiliar at first. A healthy person may not give you the same emotional highs and lows. They may not create the same chaos, right? They may not make you feel like you have to earn love every day. And at first, that might kind of feel boring in a way, but something boring is actually something safe. Sometimes steady is sacred. Sometimes calm is what your nervous system has been praying for. A safe relationship does not mean there is never conflict. It means conflict does not become cruelty. It means your vulnerability is actually being protected. It means your diagnosis is handled with care. It means you can be honest without being punished. It means love feels like a place where you can grow, not a courtroom where you are constantly on trial. So can someone with bipolar have a healthy relationship? I think we've answered that. Yes. But I believe the deeper question is this: can you believe you are worthy of one? Because sometimes the hardest part is not finding someone else. Sometimes the hardest part is no longer believing that the lie that you're bipolar makes you unworthy of love. You are not too broken for healthy love. You are not too complicated for respect. You are not too much for the right kind of person. You are someone learning how to live with a real condition while also building a real life. And maybe, like me, you are in a season of being single. If you are, I want you to know that singleness is not a failure. It can be healing. It can be a place where you rebuild your standards. It can be where you learn your pattern, you strengthen your boundaries, and remember who you are outside of your survival mode. Being single can be the sacred space where you stop chasing love that hurts and start becoming someone who recognizes love that is safe. And if you're in a relationship right now, I want you to know that there is hope. You and your partner can learn. You can build language around your symptoms. You can create plan. You can seek therapy. You can communicate. You can grow, and you can repair. But please remember, hope does not mean staying somewhere unsafe. Hope means believing a healthier way is possible. Whether that is healing the relationship you are in, or healing enough to leave a relationship that is harming you. You deserve love that does not cost you your peace. You deserve support that does not shame you. You deserve a relationship where bipolar is understood but not used against you. And most of all, you deserve to know this: bipolar may be part of your story, but it is not the measure of your worth. You are still capable of connection. You're still capable of trust. You're still capable of love. You're still capable of a fulfilling life. And if this episode encouraged you, please subscribe to this channel so that you do not miss our future episode. And if you know someone with bipolar who wonders if they are too much to be loved, share this with them. Sometimes one episode can remind someone that they are not alone, they are not broken, and a healthy love is still possible. Thank you for listening and watching, and remember, you are worthy of a life and a love that feels safe, steady, and true. Until next time, be empowered. Thank you so much for watching.